and different games.
That's right.
That's it.
The game's always going to change.
Yes.
Like who moved my cheese? It's always going to move.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I got an email from Laura asking me if I would mind sharing best practices, and the truth of the matter is, I've never really had a best practice, but what I'd like to share with you is what's worked for me lately. And it's pretty awesome because the ideas came out of the STAR group, and I have to give Barb credit for that because I think it was last year where she was on, you know, who isn't in by referral only. You know, they've got a special on, $99 a month, you get all this great value. And I had dropped out of by referral for some time because at that time I think I was paying $4.99 a month to be a member. So the opportunity to get back in for $99 was just awesome. And one of the things, I don't have many regrets, but one of the things I did regret was only using 10% of what by referral has to offer. Just the tip of the iceberg. And when I look back in the day, in my prime, I only used 20%. And then I think it was this year, Norm came up and said, you know, how great they were doing, the celebrations they were having, and he awarded that to just sticking to the by referral only principles. And he said, if you're not doing that, you're not going to get the results and you're missing out. And I said, oh, that's me. So one of the things I did was I joined by referral only, took a lot of their boot camp classes, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. Once a month I'm on their community remodel day. It's 3 hours. It's a phenomenal 3 hours. You know, I just throw the headset on, I listen to Joe, people can call in. And the last one, if you are a member and you have an opportunity to listen to the community remodel day, the one that he just did, I think it was October 1st or 2nd, Joe gives a phenomenal one-on-one coaching to one of the members who's about maybe 55 years old, you know, and he's struggling. He's doing maybe 12, 13, 14 deals a year, and his goal was to do 24, and he wasn't happy, you know. He's in a relationship with his wife. She's the breadwinner. He's not feeling like the man he should be. And his intentions and everything wants him to do all this work, but stuff just gets in the way. So it was a phenomenal one-on-one coaching where Joe just, you know, Joe comes out of his box of Joe the coach to Joe the person talking to him. And for some people, some of the language he uses may be a little bit offensive, and it may be a little sexist, but it was a real heart-to-heart talk to this guy, and he got it. He got exactly what he needed between the eyes. And it woke him up. But just a couple of things like that. So one of the things I'm going to focus on today is it's called 2 referrals in 7 days. And what I liked about it was I went, yeah, I could use a couple of referrals in 7 days. You know, I've got some business, but I don't have that much business where I couldn't use 2 referrals in 7 days. So one of the components to having 2 referrals in 7 days is Joe talks about the 4 C's. So you have to have commitment, you have to have courage, you have to have capability, and you have to have confidence. So I just want to touch on commitment. And I'll never forget, I think, Michelle, you brought it up, we were at an invitational and you mentioned, I think it was probably out near Ottawa way, what commitment meant to me was, you're in no matter what, whether you like it or not. And the way I looked at it, you know, I was committed if it was convenient for me, if I felt like it, or whatever the situation was, I'll do it. But what lacked was the consistency. When you're committed, you have consistency. So one of the criteria for this course, 2 referrals in 7 days, is you have to be on the call for 1 hour each day. And the call is usually from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific time, which is usually 12 to 1 our time. You miss 1 class, you're out. You have to be accountable, and the accountability is you have to make 10 contacts a day, 10 texts a day, and 10 thank you notes a day. And I thought, piece of cake. Piece of cake, that's easy. You know, I was in bold, and in bold you're required to do 20 contacts a day. And if you want to be super bold, you do 100 contacts a day. It's like, yeah, I just, you know what, that's just overwhelming for me. But I thought, 10, I can do that. You know, I'm used to door knocking, I'm used to cold calling. It was a challenge. So I thought, okay, yeah, I'm signing up for that. So I did. And one of the things that Joe stressed on this, and he has a partner named Dan Paris, and Dan is just a phenomenal speaker. You think Joe's good? I like Dan. Dan's really good. He's very simple. The manner in which he speaks to you, the words that he chooses is extremely powerful. It gets the message across. And what I liked about all of that with Joe and Dan, it was very much in line with my values and my principles, so it was really easy to do. You know, when somebody tells you go knock on 50 doors or go knock on, you know, make 50 phone calls, don't be attached to the outcome, you know, and if they're not interested, next, 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 where by referral only is more about building relationships. And it's really hard to build relationships when you're doing stuff and it just doesn't feel right, it doesn't sound right, it just doesn't resonate with you. So one of the things that Dan and Joe gave us was the language. One of the things I struggle with was, okay, so when you call 10 people, you're calling your database. People that you know you've done business with or are, you know, planning to do something in the near future. And I always struggle with, what do I say? You know, I haven't talked to clients in 5 years. I feel bad, I, you know, feel guilty. What do I say? It's like, you know, and I don't want to come across as commission breath, which is, hey, how are you? Just thought I'd call, who do you know that's thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate that I can help today? It just didn't run off my tongue like that. So what Dan gave me, or us, or the group, or anybody that's in the 2 and 7 day referral classes, great script, and it's so easy, and it just seems so natural. And it would be like, you'd call, and you'd say, hey Peter, I was just scrolling down my phone and I came across your name. And it reminded me of the time when you and your wife, call her Sandy, bought the house that you knew when we walked in the door, that was the one. You know, I knew immediately when I looked at you and Sandy, you had this huge grin on your face. She grabbed your hand and squeezed it really tight. And you guys were just beaming. And the seller was home. It was an older European lady. She lived in an 1,100 square foot bungalow on this nice little cul-de-sac. You know, and she just baked a strawberry rhubarb pie. We walked in the door and went, man, it smells like home in here. And, you know, your wife was pregnant at the time, and this European lady, the seller, immediately went over to your wife, started a conversation. She took her hand and showed her the house around. And you and I went, great, let's go check out the garage. Let's go check out the backyard. We went down the basement. And then afterwards, we ended up in the kitchen, and this lady insisted that we sit down and have a piece of pie, and she made us some really strong coffee, almost like a Turkish coffee. And we just sat there and talked. And then when we left, you both looked at each other and go, we think we found the house. And you said, you know, let's put an offer in. I went, great. And then that afternoon, I went back to the office. We prepared the offer, and I got a call. And I called you and said, you know what, we're going to put an offer in, but there's 3 other offers that we're competing against. And I know the look on your face, the disappointment that came across. And I said, let's just go for it. You never know what happens. And as it turned out, Dan, do you remember, Pete? We had 3 offers. You guys were waiting outside. And as it turned out, ours wasn't the best offer. It wasn't the highest price. But she chose you guys because she saw herself and her family, because that was the house that she raised her kids in there for 40 years. Her husband had passed. That's why she was selling. And she just connected with you guys, and she wanted you guys to have the house. Do you remember that? Yeah, I remember that. Great. How have you been? It's easy to do that because you're bringing them back to a positive memory.
What do you do when you have 0 memory?
Well, that's why
My memory sucks.
that's why we enter notes in the database and stuff like that, you know. And you know, after that conversation, if you and that conversation can go 3 minutes, it can go 30 minutes. You know, you're just reconnecting. You're not selling anything, right? And if it feels right, you know, I know it's been a really long time since we talked, and one of the things I want to ask you, the next time you're talking to a friend or a family member, and they need the same kind of help that you needed back then, would you feel comfortable introducing them to me? Period.
Can you say that again?
All right. So, I know, where do you want me to go back
No,
to?
just
All right.
the last one.
So after the conversation, if it feels right, you say, I know it's been a really long time since we talked. And one of the things I wanted to ask, the next time you're talking to a family member or a friend, and they need the same kind of help that you needed back then, do you still feel comfortable introducing people like that to me? For me, I'm really comfortable with that kind of language.
Yeah, repeat it and go way the hell slower, please.
Yeah.
Okay.
You write it on the board.
It's also, it's also in the BRO.
I know.
And it will be on the
Give it to us.
video.
Okay,
Oh.
give it.
That's true.
And it's in the magic cards.
Absolutely, it's in the magic card.
Which one is it?
It's the,
The
well,
referral section.
there's another section, it's the 8 of spades.
Is that?
Yeah.
That's easier.
Love that. 8 of spades. You're awesome.
So, when they go, yeah, we could do that, and you go, well, here's what you do the next time you're in conversation. Take out your cell phone, look up my number, call me immediately, and we can talk about the best way to introduce your friend or family member to me. Period. So you make 10 calls like that. Right after that, within a 3 to 5 minute period after you've talked to them, you text them. Not an hour later, not 2 hours later, because you get busy, you get sidetracked, you check your emails, you're doing something, the phone rings, and an hour later or two, you go, then you text them, they go, what the hell is this? So within 3 to 5 minutes after you get off the phone, you text them, and here's what you say. It was great speaking with you, and I want to thank you for feeling comfortable offering my help and expertise to your friends and family or neighbors, colleagues. Isn't it great that you have a friend in the business? Everybody knows a realtor. A friend is it's a powerful word. When they consider you a friend, you're it. Isn't it great that you have a friend in the business? Then, at the end of the day, I don't know, I bought these from the dollar store. They're like 10 for $1. You handwrite. You don't type it. You handwrite it out, and you say the same thing that you did in the text. Exactly the same. You handwrite on the envelope. You don't put the labels or print the labels and stick it on. You handwrite the person's name and address. Joe allows you to use the labels for your return address on the back. Those 3 things. You call them, you text them, you send them a note. They play a little bit more hardcore, so the part that I struggled with was I could do the call, I could do the text, and then I figure at the end of the day I'll just do all the notes. Well, I never got to 10. I never even got to 10 calls in a day. So what I would do is I'd get to 5 or 6, sometimes 7, mail some of it, and then the next day I'd mail it, but they wouldn't count it. So what counts for them is if you mail the thank you cards, it's got the stamp on, and it's in the mailbox before midnight, you can count it. Not the next day. They're pretty, adamant about that. Dan Pear's a little bit more flexible. He said, within a couple of days. But Joe's pretty much regimented.
Discipline.
Now here's the thing. When you call them and you can't get a hold of them, you get their voicemail. Here's what they tell you to say. You never, ever, ever, ever ask them to call you back. You never tell them why you're calling. Never. So what you say is, Peter, it's Paul. I'll call you back. Click. You don't hear from Peter. Call the second time. Peter, second time. I'll keep on trying till I get a hold of you. Have a great day. Third time, same thing. Eventually you're going to connect, or eventually they're going to call you. And if they don't, you can decide from there what you'd like to do, or how you want to read into that.
Purge.
F10. Actually, the third time it's like, I'm so grateful to hear your voice. Listen, I'm going to keep calling you until I talk to you. Have a great day. This is my second time. This is my second time doing the 2 and 7. I did it in August, and I wanted to do it again in October, so I just finished it last week. And there's another one coming up in November. And the reason is I want to finish the year really strong. What I love about the 2 and 7, it gives you a structure to work in. It's an hour a day of one-on-one coaching with Dan Paris, and they only allow 8 to 10 people in the class, period, no more than that. So you call it, and it's really effective. So what I found was I got really comfortable doing all that. The language was easy. It was sincere. You know, I'm not trying to sell anything. All I was doing was calling and offering my help. I wasn't asking for referrals. And as you know, they changed the word from referral to introduce, so it makes it even easier. Always felt comfortable asking for a referral. Had no problem asking to be introduced to somebody. One of the scripts on, which is on the 8 of spades, which I love, and I'm just going to write it on the board if I can, because it's 4 great words. It doesn't really matter what you say in the conversation, but you have to touch on these 4 words.
Somebody needs to buy some new pen.
Sorry.
Missing a T.
Right now, okay.
Oh, sorry.
You able retentive than us.
It's meticulous.
Sound down.
But you can still show.
Oh, sorry. Let me just,
Glass half empty, negative.
right now, make sure. Speak with me. Best advice.
Then I can't. I like
I'm a terrible speller, by the way. So in the conversation, you want to hit on these 4 things. Again, using neurolinguistics and really powerful embedded commands. These are the 4 words in the conversation, the 8 of spades. You know, so Zan, the next time you're in a conversation with a colleague or a friend or a neighbor, you know, and they mention they might want to downsize, or maybe the house is getting too small, what can you and I do right now to make sure that John gets to meet and speak with me so I can give him the best advice? Period. Everybody wants the best advice. 4 simple things. You can add whatever you want, but as long as that's in the conversation, you're going to get some results. So what I got out of being in the 2 referrals in 7 days was, the first time I did it, I made 27 calls, sent out 27 texts, and 15 postcards. And I thought I was going to like nail it. 10 is a breeze. It's tough. It's tough. It's not easy, but it's worth it. It's very worth it. The second time I thought, okay, I got it nailed, I know what I'm doing, I know what to expect, I'm gonna hammer it. Nuh-uh. Last week I got 32 calls in. I got 27 texts out and 17 postcards sent.
Which is all still very amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I mean, but it was way more, but what it was, Jonathan, was just feeling really comfortable doing it. I could do that.
But you can see your language, and just to us,
Well,
it seems so natural for you now.
exactly. Whereas the other language before, anybody could do this. And I got that from Dean Parrish, just listening to him is phenomenal. Eventually, what you want to do, and as easy and as simple as it sounds, it's not. You want to be able to do 2 of these a day, consistently. Talk to 2 people in your database a day, text them 2 a day, and send out 2 thank you cards a day. I think that's about 3 or 4 days, and I fell off. But I get back on. My observation here is, and what my goal is to be consistent. It is really the fiber of everything else, because it's kind of a pattern in my life, in my business career and everything. Yeah, we do all these things, but we've never really been super consistent, regimented consistent, what I would consider.
Run a marathon, you'll get there. Right?
So it gave me the tools, it gave me the script, it gave me everything I needed. All I had to do was just push play. And I wanted to play. So the first time I got 3 referrals. 3 referrals out of, those numbers. I didn't even hit 10, 10, and 10. Last week I got 2. And then yesterday, I got somebody out of the blue. I have no idea. They want to go look at a house, they weren't ready, we're showing them on Saturday, and they want to put their house on the market. I don't know where it came from. It's out there in the universe. It just comes when you do this kind of work. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Did they have a conversation with you back, saying, hey, how's the market, what's going on? Like, did they give you more details?
That's a great question, to be honest with you. And the one thing that they want, that Joe and Dan say, it's not about you, you make it about them. It's all about them. Now, if the opportunity comes up and they ask you, how's the market? I think of Gene Rivers. Why do you ask?
Right. So would you then lead them or say, well, I could give you an update on what your house might be worth?
Well, what I would suggest is set up an appointment. You know what? I've got some other calls to make. I'd love to be able to spend more time with you and explain what the market's doing, especially in your immediate neighborhood, or answer any questions. When's a good time to call you back? Otherwise, you get sidetracked. Because I
Well,
block.
that's my concern, right?
Yeah, because I block a period of time when I do this, because I just, because I'm focused for that. I don't want to answer phones. I don't want to check my email. I don't want to be on my computer. I've done most of these in my car, right? Because I'm in my car, I've got my headset on, and okay, I'm not going anywhere because I need to get the numbers in. And you report every day to your coach your numbers, and they post it on Facebook. Right? It's a high level of accountability. And the beautiful thing is, they don't care if you hit your 10, 10, 10 a day. They just want you to be authentic about what you're doing. And there were people in our class, they did 2, 1, 0. The first day was 0, 0, 0. And these are people who have taken the course before. Just be authentic about it.
It makes you almost want to take notes now, right? To knowing that you're going to make this phone call a year or 2 from now. So you better start taking notes on how that went down, and then it's in the system, right?
Yeah.
I totally agree with that, all of that. It's just, for me, it was extremely comfortable. Oh, there's one other thing I really want to share, which to me it was almost the keys of the kingdom, and these were the 3 questions Dan Parrish taught us. When they respond, like, do you have a friend or a colleague or anybody that you can think of that's, buying, selling, or investing in real estate? They go, well, yeah, my friend Mike. So the first question you go, boy, You know a lot of people. How is it that you thought of Mike first? You know? They will tell you what they think of Mike and why Mike came to mind first. Then you respond, sounds like you and Mike are close. What is it that you admire / like about Mike? Takes you to the 5, 6, 7, right? Gets you real deep. And this third question I really love. What about Mike and I working together makes it a good match? Like you're just setting it up, right? I like to call it you're setting the table. It's up to them if they want to eat. Because it tells you a lot about the friend that they're referring, their relationship with their friend, and why they think your friend and you are a good match. Mike's a really, great guy. I've known him for 40 years. We went to high school together. He's not pressure. He's just easygoing, fun-loving kind of guy. And I just think you guys would be a great match, which in other words says a lot about you. And that's it.